Just finished up with a 2-mile warm-up, and I'm headed up High School Butte today. There's High School Butte. It's just under a 5-minute climb, and first time this year, and I'm expecting it to be a little muddy still, but it should be pretty good. So I'm anxious to kind of start working on my strength endurance, which is something we'll talk about later today. We're going to talk about why, if you're following the MAF formula and training principles, you're missing a lot that you can accomplish from a longevity standpoint, a health standpoint, and a performance standpoint. So we're going to really talk about that, but I'm going to hit my repeats first, and I'm switching out of my Ultra Escalantes and putting on the Dynafit Feline Up Pro. I've running these just a few times. I got them last fall right when it started to snow, so this will be kind of the first true training run that I'll be able to run these in and test them out. So I'm anxious to really see how they do. The outsole should be pretty good for this type of terrain, and they're meant as a uphill mountain shoe, but I'm going to try to see if I can use it as an all-round mountain shoe. So all right, so we're headed up the mountain. It's an amazing day. Yesterday was the first day of shorts for me, and I've used this first hill repeat kind of as a warm-up, get the legs moving a little bit, and then I'm going to do 2 to 3 more, but kind of wanted to give you a sense for the climb. It just kind of switchbacks. I started down there where that truck is, just got a nice gradual switchback, and it levels off right here, but then the last little pitch, it goes up 15-20% grade. So you try to make it to here as easy as you can, and then it's everything you got from here to the finish. So legs are feeling okay. I wouldn't say great, but first time this year. All right, well, this time of the morning I usually have this place to myself, but with the virus lockdown, everything, there's just a lot of people here, so I kind of amended my workout and just did kind of fartlek hill repeats rather than going all the way down, all the way up like I planned. I would go down right before I would meet some people and turn around and run up, so I'm not always having to pass people and kind of me getting frustrated with them and them getting frustrated with me. I just kind of work with the system, and it's always a good thing to do, especially now. It's a little more muddy than I thought, and you don't want to wreck the trail and cause erosion, so I just kind of was respectful for people and the trail and just amended things. That's all. Still got a lot of hard breathing in and a good threshold and good power workout. So like I mentioned earlier, This is my first foray into strength endurance training. All spring, all winter, I built a long base of a lot more volume and a lot more miles that I was used to on flats. And opposite of that, I did a lot of short hill repeats versus kind of the traditional mountain hill snow running I do normally during the winter. And I just wanted to change things up, but also brings me to the point of what I want to talk about today, and it's kind of specifically the Maffatone method. If you're not familiar with the Maffatone method, this is a method that works solely by heart rate, creating heart rate zones and primarily your fat burning zone through a calculation or a formula of 180 minus your age, plus or minus a few beats there, based on your experience. And there's a lot of value in this, and it's something I studied way back in the early 90s, and it's a big part of kind of the whole endurance philosophy of fat burning. You know, it kind of falls right in line with what I do and how I do things, and the importance of fat burning and building an aerobic base. However, there's a lot to be missed if all you're doing is easy running during your base building phase. I talk a lot about how important economy is, how important efficiency is, how important strength is. If we don't have good economy, it's a sign of poor strength. So during early season, we also have to start integrating 2 other phases with our endurance, and not just do endurance. We need strength workouts and we need speed workouts. This takes place early season. It's proper periodization. You build your endurance base, you build your strength and force, you build some raw speed, and then you apply it later into where I'm moving into my next phase of developing strength endurance and speed endurance and race specific type of training. So if you don't do the speed and the strength early season, you're missing out on that development. And then when you progress further into your phase and you want the speed endurance and the strength endurance, you don't have that base to work from. So you're always kind of working from where you're at. Got the wind. So you're always working with where you're at and never increasing your overall level of ability. And that's what early season base building is all for, is creating more potential within yourself in the form of strength and speed. Okay, so that's why I think it's crucial not to only run easy during base building phases. And like I mentioned, you got to integrate the speed and the strength, so then later on you can then combine it with your endurance to begin creating strength endurance. And that's a common workout I'm doing right today. I'm starting to get my body a little bit more in tune with strength endurance for longer climbs over there. Like today I was supposed to do 5 minutes. I got 1 5-minute in, but what I'm preparing for are the climbs over in Snow King, where they're 20-30 minutes. In the big mountains, when things open up in July and August, now I'm looking at 2-hour climbs. So I need to start having that strength endurance, but I've built strength early season to then apply it to this endurance, so I'm maximizing everything. Okay. Lastly, working with a heart rate and creating the formula, creating your heart rate zones via a formula. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I've had many athletes through the years where if they would have used a formula, they would have been undertraining, or more importantly, they would have been overtraining using a formula. So everybody's different. It's like your thumbprint. Everybody's different. And that's why I do field tests, to get your own fingerprint of heart rate zones. And heart rate zones, how I mesh heart rate and speed. There's a question on this in one of the videos this week of when to use heart rate. So when I'm looking for a physiological adaptation or training event, endurance, strength endurance, threshold, anytime the purpose of the day is to get a physiological response, I use heart rate. When I'm looking to get a more of a race specific type of workout in, let's say specifically maybe for a marathoner, hey, we have marathon paced runs, or we have some 10K paced runs to make marathon pace easier, I use speed. So that's how I integrate the two throughout the whole year with my athletes and in the book. So those of you who have the book are experiencing that, and why sometimes there's heart rate workouts and sometimes there's speed workouts for different purposes. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna head down and maybe get a little bit longer run in after this. It's such a nice day. It's about 40 degrees and could have had shorts on. So it's kind of like forgetting to put that sunscreen on that first day, but could have gone shorts today. So all right, hope that helps. Send your questions as always, and we'll see you next time.